Good evening and welcome to the June 8th, 2026 final meeting of the City of Gahanna Charter Review Commission, which is hereby called to order.
There we go.
If you could, please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Could you please call the roll?
Barnhart,
Here.
Delisle,
Here.
Hill,
Here.
Maxwell,
Here.
Malarski,
Here.
Reynolds,
Here.
Wester.
Here.
Wonderful. We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is additions or corrections to the agenda tonight. Do we have any additions or corrections tonight for the good of the order?
Would you like to discuss the order in which we handle these, like I suggested in my email?
Yeah, I think we'll, once we get through approval of the minutes and public comment, we'll be able to have that discussion.
Okay.
So, all right, hearing none, the agenda will stand as presented. We do next have approval of the meeting minutes. So approval of the minutes for the Charter Review Commission regular meeting of June 4th, 2026. Are there any additions, corrections, or changes to the draft minutes? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 4th, 2026 regular meeting?
So moved.
All right, and second?
Second.
Wonderful. Mr. Clerk, if you could, please call the roll on the approval of the minutes.
Delisle,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Maxwell stepped out, Malarski,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Abstain.
and Barnhart.
Yes. All right, next up, we've got public comment. I'd like to open the floor to any visitors in attendance this evening who would like to address the commission. Anyone who's wishing to speak must complete a speaker slip and will then be recognized by the chair. Per the commission's rules, visitors are limited to 3 minutes. However, if there are no objections by the commission, that time may be extended to 10 minutes for residents to share their thoughts and take questions from the commission. Mr. Clerk, do we have any speaker slips this evening?
And this evening.
All right, so we'll just keep on moving along to unfinished business. We have our draft charter amendment proposals for the Charter Review Commission. So we have finally made it to our final night where we get to make some decisions. This is the culmination of the work of the commission that we've undertaken over the past several months, and our task this evening is to vote on which proposed charter amendments this commission will recommend to City Council for the potential submission to the voters of Gahanna. Before we begin, I just wanted to kind of do an overview of our process from here, and not to put her on the spot, but I'd like to ask the city attorney if you could kind of help, if you don't mind, just give us an overview of we are making our recommendations today. What does the process look like from here on out, just for the good of the public to know what the next steps are?
Certainly. So once the commission votes on which of these proposals will advance to council for consideration, we will compile that with a cover letter or memo prepared by the chair as a package for council. That should be received by council office before July 1st. That will be our official report. There will then be a presentation of that report to council at the first meeting in July, which I believe is July 6th. And thereafter, council will approve those recommendations to move forward to the ballot. And then in that process in between, Jeremy and I will collaborate on drafting the resolution for council to consider, and the ballot language would be on that resolution, I believe. So, and then once they approve those to move forward to, so it goes to committee first on July 6th. And I believe these would be by form of resolution. And so they would be then heard on the, Jeremy, is it on the agenda for consideration on the 6th, or is it on the following meeting?
It would be the following.
Following meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be on for committee on the 6th. We have doubled up meetings for the summer schedule. So it'll be on committee on the 6th, and then it'll be heard 2 weeks thereafter and voted on then. And then it will be sent to the Board of Elections. Once the Board of Elections approves our ballot language and package, then we would wait until Election Day, and it'll be on the ballot for November. for the electorate to decide.
And then after the voters decide, what is I think we have one final step. We have to meet once more after that.
I believe so, to approve the amended charter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Doesn't he just sign off on it, or does everyone have to meet? I thought the chairman signed off on it.
I believe the last time we met as a commission to certify the amendments and the official charter, everyone, I think, had signed it. I believe. It could be just the chair signs, but.
And when is that?
The certification of amendments, let me double check here.
It looks like on our timeline, we have by December 4th as the deadline to send the certified charter to the Secretary of State and the Franklin County Board.
So after the Board of Elections certifies the results of the election, any amendments that have passed, it says the commission last appointed shall meet with the clerk of city council and certify an official version of the charter reflecting the certified results of the election. And it shall consist of the dating and signature by the chairman of the commission. So although it says that the commission shall meet with the clerk and certify it, it does then specify that at least the chairman must sign it.
So it sounds like we're going to have to bring the gang back together one more time.
Wits on me.
Oh, all right. I will not forget wit, so I'll take you up on that.
It's on the record.
That's right.
It is on the record.
So do commissioners have any questions on the process from here on out?
If I may, I just wanted to clarify that, if I heard you correctly, so it will go to council. They do have to vote. But the charter dictates that it then needs to be submitted to the electors from that council vote. So there's no editing or deliberations or anything like that on behalf, as far as council's concerned. Is that correct?
So that is essentially correct. There is no authority in the charter for council to edit or modify the recommendations. There is a mandate that in the charter that the recommendation shall be presented to the electorate. However, the Constitution of Ohio dictates, and the ORC dictates, that charter amendments must be presented and passed through by a legislative body. And so there is some room for interpretation to say that nothing, even the charter, cannot dictate how a person must vote from the dais, right? That is their authority as a council member. So they must take a vote. It must be presented to the electorate. But I also think there's conflicting information about the fact that you cannot tell a council member how to vote on any particular item in front of them. But there is absolutely no authority in the charter for council to edit or change any of the recommendations. They must consider the recommendations, vote on the recommendations, and it must be presented to the electorate.
Well, it sounds like per the charter, there's no authority for them to say no. It says advance or submit to electors,
Shall,
correct?
yeah.
Shall.
That is what the charter says,
Okay.
And the
So-
charter overrules the Constitution, right?
not the Ohio Constitution and not the ORC.
But the Constitution doesn't conflict with this. It just says that they have to do this.
I don't believe that anything can dictate how, it's not a, ORC and state constitution on several occasions does dictate that council must do and act. But I don't know of any other instance in which they say that it must be done in a particular vote or fashion, like that it must be passed. It's that they must consider it, that it's subject to council action, to the legislative authority. The power from the Constitution and the ORC vests the power in council to present a charter change for it to be valid. So it must pass through council. That is what the state constitution says. So I don't know that there has been any case law on whether or not a council member can vote no on our particular charter. That has not been, that would be a matter of first impression. I'm saying there's difference of opinion on that matter on whether or not council can vote no. I think that the charter speaks for itself, and it says shall, and if that was challenged, I do not know what the outcome would be in court. That's all
I
I'm
mean, they
saying.
can challenge it, but it clearly says they shall.
That is what the
submit it.
charter says, yes,
I mean,
that it
there's
shall be
no
presented to the
wiggle room.
electorate.
They shall submit it. It's black and white. Yeah.
Is there precedent for a challenge or change with regards to the charter thus far?
Not for this provision, no.
Okay.
There's never been a challenge to that provision.
And I will say, because I like reading legal things for some reason, is Article 18, Section 9 of the Ohio Constitution, which is, I want to say that's like home rule, so that's talking about municipal corporations. And this is amendments to charters, so home rule in the Ohio Constitution is what delegates the authority to cities to organize. When talking about amendments to the charter, it says amendments to any charter framed and adopted as herein provided may be submitted to the electors of the municipality by a 2/3 vote, so, of the legislative authority. And upon petitions signed by 10% of the electors of the municipality setting forth any such proposed amendment shall be submitted by legislative authority. So my understanding would be that, you know, there's the mechanism within the Gahanna charter that if 10% of the electors, if you're able to sign a petition, then council shall advance that shall, you know, there's not a choice. But
Our
then,
charter specifies that they shall pass it. It does not say they may pass it. And so the Ohio Constitution says may, we have said shall, and that's what rules. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Use the term pass through the council. It doesn't say that they have to technically vote on it, correct? It says shall.
I believe it does
The
by
charter
ordinance.
says shall.
Yeah.
Right.
The
what I'm saying, the charter says
Ohio
shall.
Constitution says that it may only be submitted in two ways, through the electorate by a 2/3 vote, or through petition. So, but I agree that the charter very clearly says shall, pass it on, and it has never been challenged, and so I believe that is the correct interpretation, that it shall be passed on, unless it were challenged.
yeah. And that's what I hear, is that there may be some legal gray area that has not been tested, because there may be some conflict between charter language and constitution language, but it has been Gahanna tradition that it advances, and it shall be. So-
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions?
I guess just for a point of clarification, because I've never seen it done. So when we present to council, is it presented as a package deal, or do they, I don't want to use the term vote because
Yeah.
I don't want to open up that conversation one more time. But, or do they review it one at a time, one amendment at a time?
As it would be one resolution, no, it would be each ballot issue would be its own resolution that would be presented, because each ballot issue would have to be set forth. And they could certainly have edits or changes to the ballot language on the body of the resolution that would then go to the Board of Elections. But,
Where does it say that? Where does it give them that authority to change the language?
I mean, because that's not part of this body's work. This body is to create the
thought that-
recommendation, and then the
No, but
ballot
we draft the
language.
language with your oversight,
We
correct?
drafted the changes, the red lines and the report to council. We do not draft the ballot initiative itself. That would be something that Jeremy and I would collaborate on, and then it would be ultimately approved by the Board of Elections. City council would have to approve that in the resolution, and that would give them authority to have some ability to weigh in on the wording of the ballot
We've
language.
approved the ballot language.
Yeah, no.
They
No.
can't change the ballot
No.
language that we have
No, we
approved.
did the
There is no ballot
recommendations
language within this
section.
report.
Yeah, there's no.
We have
That's what we're
presented
voting on.
a red line, and we have presented a proposed reasoning.
Yeah.
The ballot language would read very differently. For example, for the repeal of the administrative departments, the ballot language would read, for example, should article such and such, section such and such be repealed? That's it.
So you're
That would
simply
be
talking
the-
about reasoning. You're not talking about the language that we're.
The language is preserved as whatever the
Right,
recommendation
okay,
is by the
reasoning,
charter.
I don't care about reasoning. Okay, all right.
Okay. The ballot language of, so the ballot, when a voter goes to vote, the full recommendation and the full language of the red lines would be at every polling location. But on their screen, when they're in the ballot box, the only thing they see is the issue question.
Correct.
And not the rationale.
Only insofar as that would be incorporated into the question. That's it.
Okay.
But it would be provided.
It would be available at every polling location. And it would also be published in the paper
Right, right.
for notice for the public for so many weeks before.
So council can't go and say like, oh, we really like that they promoted this idea of changing the charter from 5 to 10, but let's make it 15. Like, they're not gonna, they can't do that.
Yeah.
There's no authority to do that. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the actual content of what the ballot measure would be changing, that is our recommendation, and council can't change like the actual language, red line language.
Correct.
However, there is some leeway for them to shape the ballot question. Is that what I'm understanding? And how that's potentially they could,
Potentially, they could,
if they wanted
if
to?
they really wanted to. But it would have to be a concise and clear statement summarizing the change. That is something that has to be approved by the Board of Elections also.
Right.
So that is not something they could skew the language in one way or another to make it seem like it was a good or bad thing. It has to be neutral, concise language.
Right.
Where does it say that?
Where
Board
does
of
it say?
Elections.
What do you
not-
just said?
Elections.
That they get to do the ballot language. The Board of Elections does the ballot language.
The Board of Elections, we have been in contact with them, and it is our responsibility to provide them ballot language
Right. but they-
as a city.
They have the final say.
But that is not,
Right.
Right,
they get the final say, correct?
right. And there's nothing that says city council gets to do that ballot language, right? Or
They
am I
have to
missing
approve the
something?
ballot language in the resolution. It has to be an ordinance directing the Board of Elections to put this on the ballot. And in order to do that, they have to have ballot language. All of that goes into the body of the resolution that accompanies the charter change.
And you and Mr. Van Meter would be drafting that.
resolution.
That resolution language.
That would be presented to council, yes. But I don't know that, and I will look to Mr. Van Meter to confirm, I don't know that council has ever gone through discussion or modified any of those such resolutions to adopt the Charter Review Commission's resolution, the redlined
What?
amendments.
We could always ask her.
What,
Great,
All right.
great, okay.
I think that's buttoned up.
Yes.
My over-under is 9:38 PM.
You know what, we're having fun here, so thank you, Madam City Attorney,
No
appreciate that.
problem.
So the intention for tonight's meeting, and this is up for discussion, and we can discuss Mr. Malarski's email, but the way that I viewed tonight's meeting, our job is to work through the draft ballot measures one by one. The measures have been prepared by the city attorney based on the commission's prior deliberations and structured to comply with Ohio's single subject requirements for ballot issues. Just a reminder with the single subject requirement, simply, and Madam City Attorney, you can correct me, basically, each ballot measure needs to address one general subject or purpose, so voters are not forced to vote yes or no on unrelated changes that are bundled together, in a nutshell.
Correct.
So that doesn't mean that every measure can only amend one sentence or one charter section, which we have a couple of draft ballot measures here that incorporate changing multiple sections. However, they're like standardizing requirements. So those related changes can be grouped together. So the draft measures before us, they've been organized with that principle in mind. So the way I've envisioned going about tonight for each proposed ballot measure will allow time for commissioners to share any final thoughts, questions, concerns, or comments before we vote up or down, whether to recommend that measure to council.
I have one question on the process.
Yes, ma'am.
In reviewing, there are 12 amendments bundled as proposed by the city attorney, the email we received on Friday. I do think there's an error with one of them, that there is a part, do you want to address that now or when we get to that amendment?
Let's just wait until we get to that
Okay.
amendment. Yep. So, our vote, ultimately, we're making our recommendations on language to council, and then it'll go through the process that we've just established. So with that, I am open, first of all, before we jump in, I know Mr. Malarski had some thoughts. I wanted to open the floor for him to be able to share that. We can have some discussions, and then move into deliberations.
Thank you. All right, we have 40 pages in front of us, and that is ballot fatigue, the definition of it. We need to pare this down so that the people don't look at it and say, oh my God, I'm not going through 40 pages to try to figure this thing out, my opinion. So I think that what we should do is use your matrix and say, and hit the ones that are most important first, and that way, as we get down to the ones that are less important, the idea of ballot fatigue may be one of the issues we would want to consider. That would be my opinion, and actually, I'll make a motion on that. So we use your matrix.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Under your proposal, we would still go through each of these. That would just help.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, just the order in which we're going through them.
Do you- Could that lead to bias in the discussion? If it's, you know,
Was there a second?
I second.
Okay. Go ahead.
that was it, just by leaving them top to bottom, it kind of fizzles us out on any conversation by the end of the night and less likely to move forward. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's why maybe some of them we might want to table to say, okay, well, this may be something lower, may jump over that, so some of them could be tabled.
If I could, I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, and I don't disagree. This is a lot to be on the ballot. I guess my concern is when we scored these with the prioritization matrix, I think it's fair to say that collectively, we didn't have as deep of an understanding at the time we scored them than we do now, because we've talked about all 12 of these bundled 3 meetings in a row now, I believe. So I would say that I'm not sure I would score them the same if I did it again. So, but I understand what you're saying. This is a lot. I think in 2021, there were 8 amendments. So this is, I think there's 12. But I think we are able to vote no for a multitude of reasons. One could be, don't disagree with the amendment, just don't feel it's probably ballot worthy this time around. So I don't disagree with the spirit of what you're saying at all. I'm not even confident if I look back at my scores, I'm not sure I would score them the same now that we've really hashed through this, particularly one amendment, we keep getting new information, even on the May 21st meeting. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I'm not saying it can't be a factor. I just don't know.
I would echo that sentiment, but because I agree with you, Karen, I think even one that I thought I was a stark no on, I think the reasoning and the wording, the verbiage that we've added to it have expanded upon that I feel better moving forward with it. But I also want to clarify the point of if each ballot measure is getting voted on by council as a resolution, is it one of those things where, like, if we put 9 through, that only 7 make it to ballot? Or no, it's the whole thing? I don't want to bring this up
Mandate by
again.
charter is that everything pass on.
Thanks.
Anything
Okay, done.
recommended.
Sealed.
Yep.
Sorry, Ethan. But yeah, okay, that's fine. When you said the one resolution, I got confused. Okay, thank you. But I would echo your sentiment, Karen.
Procedural question, again, going back to what Ms. Wester said, I mean, we have deliberated, but there's new information and I guess maybe a little bit more clarity around this. So the purpose for tonight is not to continue deliberation, but it is to identify if there are some points of clarity that may still be needed, and then make a vote. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding our process here tonight.
Yeah, I think that it is, if you feel strongly, you still have an opportunity, yes or no. You can voice your opinions on the different ballot measures. We can have discussion and then ultimately vote up or down. Mr. Malarski, I don't necessarily disagree with you. However, I do feel like the intention of the matrix was a clarifying tool and lens, and it's been helpful to this point. We were able to kick certain things out, and it But it has been a lens and a tool for all of us, I think, throughout this entire process to be able to look at these things through. And I think I would trust each commissioner has been looking at these over the past several days since our last meeting through the lens of the matrix already. I think ultimately we've gotten draft ballot measure language that's been discussed quite a bit already. It's in strong form. I would encourage having final discussion and voting them up or down. And ultimately, if the group, and I think that this has been mentioned before, I personally feel like maybe, 6 to 8 is a great number of ballot measures. However, if the group decides that there are more, I think at this point in the process, with how developed all of the ballot measures are, if we send 12 of 12, I'm okay with that. That's the decision of the group, and we're a deliberative body, and I think that we all kind of sign on that we're one of 7, and ultimately what the 7 decides is what goes forward. And I think that we've had the tools available for us to guide how we're going to vote tonight, and I don't feel comfortable adding additional layers of complexity at this point on how we do this. I think that it's kind of like, let's make a decision. So, we do have a motion on the table, so.
My point was, we have to address them in some order. Now, this, to my understanding, was only the order in which they were presented, one at a time. Whereas I think that if we're going to address them in an order, it's more important to address the most important ones first and work our way down. It's just what order we're going to address them, not which ones we're going to address.
Yeah, I guess we could try. I don't have, honestly, just from a meeting administration standpoint, I don't have everything organized in that order.
Well, there's a motion. Do you just want to vote on it?
Yeah, we can. So let's call the roll on the motion on the table on the order that we will discuss the items.
Malarkey?
Yes.
Maxwell? Yes. Hill?
No.
Reynolds?
No.
Lester?
No.
Barnhart?
No.
Delisle?
No.
All right. So I would like to start from the top of the draft articles. We'll go one by one. First, we have proposed Article 3, Mayor, Section 3.01, Election and Term. Reasoning, purposes to eliminate an unnecessary primary election when only 1 or 2 candidates file, reducing administrative burden, reducing significant unnecessary costs, as well as aligning with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 3513.02, adapted for Gahanna's nonpartisan framework. And I will open the floor for discussion. Any additional final thoughts? All right. So, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll on, oh, yes, thank you. Can I get a motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
to approve advancing to City Council?
Second.
If there wasn't a motion, yes, I make a motion, and he'll second it.
All right.
I thought Karen just made it.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't tell what she said.
I was just gesturing.
Wasn't for the record, it's just a finger. It's there.
All right, we've got our first and our second.
Could the chair clarify who moved and who seconded, please?
You know what? First, second.
Okay.
Let's do it. All right.
Ready?
Call the roll, please.
Lester?
Yes.
Delisle?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
Malarkey?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Barnhart?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
All right. We will advance that to City Council as recommendation. Next item is proposed Article 3, Mayor, Section 3.04, Executive Administrative Powers. The purpose of the change is to embed a strategic planning requirement in the mayor's executive duties, ensuring council and the public have a formal opportunity to review and comment on the city's long-term direction. We'll open the floor to discussion.
On this one, this is funny, you know, this one I didn't have a strong preference about. This is one that over time, particularly the way the language is drafted in its current form, I don't know that this is a top priority, but I agree with this amendment the way we have it drafted. My biggest concern was, will this cost the city money unnecessarily? I think the way we drafted it avoids that. What I like about it from a public service standpoint is the way the ballot language or the amendment is drafted. It highlights, you know, submission to council from the mayor, public comment, and revisions. So to me, it's encouraging public input and collaboration between the administration and council, and so I think that's important. So this is one I feel a little bit more strongly about, and we'll be voting in favor of it.
Well, as the one who's in opposition of this one, much to, I'm sure, the chagrin of Ethan, for me, I'm hung up on the language still of annually the mayor shall issue report of the progress made in achieving the goals and objectives of the strategic plan. For me, that implies that we will have one always, and I don't want necessarily people trying to guess about what our intention was. What did we mean by a strategic plan? If the 10-year strategic plan is up, does that mean the charter is saying we have to reinvest or reissue? Or I just think it leaves a lot unknown. And again, I go back to thinking if there's one on this list that if you're talking about ballot fatigue, this one to me is the one where we're kind of adding something vague or potentially vague into the charter. I agree with Ethan wholeheartedly that a city needs a strategic plan. That is not at all, and I understand from your perspective of the integration of the strategic plan into the charter makes it a powerful force that needs to be upheld. I think just for me, it's just too stringent. I'll be voting it down.
I also second that sentiment. But also too, I think one of the things that we talked about was making the charter not as restrictive, and I think this is one thing that makes it a little bit more restrictive. And while I was a participant in it, it was great work. I do think it should be valued, and it is a great document to lead our city. I just don't want it to be something that is written into our constitution essentially, or our charter rather, to make it more stringent. So, and again, when I was looking at, do the voters, one, do I feel like they're informed enough about the strategic plan to make this embed into our charter? I don't know what changes, what betters for them at that point. So if anything, to Ms. Belisle's point, it might also potentially incur costs at some point.
Great. Any additional thoughts? All right, I'll entertain a motion to advance proposed Article 3 Mayor, Section 304 Executive and Administrative Powers on the strategic plan. Do I have a motion? All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Wester,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Malarkey,
No.
Reynolds,
No.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Belisle,
No.
Hill.
No.
All right, the motion fails. Next up, we have proposed Article 3 Mayor, Section 3.02 Qualifications, proposed Article 4 Council, Section 3.403 Qualifications, proposed Article 10 Department of Law, Section 10.02 Qualifications. The purposes of the change is to align the public office conflict prohibition for mayor, city attorney, and council so that all three offices are governed by the same disqualification standard and removing anomalous carve-outs. Thoughts?
Are we taking each one separately, 302 first and so on? or-
So these are all under one ballot measure. They're all aligning the same language across all three sections and are under one measure.
Okay, so it's all three.
Yep, all
Okay.
three in one.
Okay. I think it's a good idea. I think it falls under ballot fatigue. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's correcting anything. I don't think it's changing anything. And so this is just one of the ones I thought was not necessary at this time with all the others we have out there.
I agree with Mr. Malarski's sentiment in that I marked it as, if ballot fatigue were a huge consideration for this group, I marked it as one where, okay. However, I think for myself and how I want to go through tonight and the way we've decided to go through these, I think I have to just vote based on whether it's better for the charter regardless of ballot fatigue and whether it makes sense to do, which in this case I believe it does. And I just have this reminder that we might be the last one that does every 5 years. We might have more changes, maybe not, but, so I think I'll still, that's how I'll proceed probably in my thought process, because I think the next 5 maybe on the list I had as maybe ballot fatigue, but I don't know how to vote on that in this way. Yeah.
I think what you just said was well stated, Jamie. I think for me, I'm going to vote in favor of this because, to be perfectly direct, the Department of Law section is just very specific and kind of goes on and as compared to the other 2 sections. So just streamlining, what is allowable while in office, I think, is a good thing.
I would agree. I think it brings some clarity to what the expectation is, and it doesn't, in doing so, it doesn't limit what the department is set up to do. So.
All right, any additional thoughts on this one?
I think that is good language, like I said when I first started. I think it accomplishes, but again, I find this closer to the ballot fatigue argument. I would move to table it for now and come back to it later and discuss it.
Is there a second to the motion?
Did he just make a motion? Did you just make a motion?
Motion to table.
The table.
All right, hearing no second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second to?
Second.
Advance?
Advance, sorry, not approve.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, sorry.
I second the motion to advance.
All right, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Delisle,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Malarski.
Yes.
All right, this one advances. All right, next up, we have proposed Article 4, the council, Section 4.02, composition and term. The purpose of the change is to adjust the ward boundary equalization process from a registered voter basis to a resident population basis by utilizing federal 10-year census data and establishing criteria for when ward boundaries need to be balanced.
If I could take a minute, I watched the meeting that I missed last week, and if I could I'd like to explain what was in my email, if I could, have a little bit of leeway, and then I'll let you know kind of where I've landed on this. This one has been an interesting one. This is the one I was referring to earlier when I said we've had an amendment where it seems like every meeting new information is kind of coming out that I think is very relevant to this amendment. My email last week was intended to highlight the relevant data surrounding this amendment. Again, it continues to evolve, and I think it's been a little hard to course correct over several meetings. However, I think it's important because this change, as compared to some other proposed amendments, this can directly affect elections moving forward and representation. Particularly if we don't have a charter review again until 2036, I think we do need to evaluate all the data. No new information I have, but to recap from my email, from the May 21st meeting, that was the first I had heard that we have code that speaks to the ward boundaries, that includes both the metric of population and registered voters. I think that's important because the current charter only speaks to only speaks to registered voters. And the draft we have in front of us speaks to only population. So what do we do with this information? In a perfect world, I think both are evaluated. And so I'm glad, for the sake of the process, that code says something along the lines of fairly balanced for both registered voters and population. I think that's a good thing, but we're not here to talk about code. Where I've landed on this one is the current language. I think that the benefit of, so the debate about, well, which metric should the charter speak to? Is it registered voters, is it population? I think you could make an argument for either. What I like about the current language and why I'll be voting in favor of this, where, you know, I've come all the way full circle on this a couple of times, because this is a much deeper issue than what was initially proposed, I gotta be honest. I think the benefit is, now we have a benchmark to the decennial or 10-year census. We also have a benchmark for percentage of disparity between the largest and smallest wards. I think that's important. I think changes like this should absolutely be objective and data-driven as much as possible. And so I think the language as drafted, I'm in favor. My email last week, in parentheses, was just to highlight, I was not proposing that that's what the language should be. It was just to highlight that we've kind of gone all the way around with this one. The code speaks to both. We flip-flop now from registered voters to the proposed population. So we've kind of come full circle with this one. I do think the other kind of guardrails in this proposed language are a good thing overall.
I really appreciate the work that you did around this one. It was great information to help us kind of get some clarity there.
Yep, you're welcome.
I just think that everyone who testified said that the changes would be so minimal, it's not one that's worthy to go forward. Let's put something else in there. We've already passed, we're already on page 10.
And I'll just go back to, I think, my original sentiment, and maybe the original sentiment as to why it was proposed was the idea of inclusivity of the entire population of Gahanna, feeling a representation within the charter language. And that is an aside to the actual restructuring, but more of a sentiment of belonging in regards to the population at large rather than simply the registered voters. And so I just wanted to kind of reclaim that vibe.
My only thoughts, I don't think it's broken. I think it's fine the way it is. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? Just my thoughts.
All right, any additional discussion on this item? All right, I would entertain a motion to advance.
Motion to advance.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Reynolds,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
No.
Belisle,
Yes.
Maxwell,
No.
Malarkey.
No.
All right, so my math is correct. It passes.
Can I interject? And Ray, I'm going to go back to you. This is a good thing, because we haven't discussed outside of a public meeting. Some of these votes are going in a different direction. And I'm looking through my list of where I'm going to vote, and I'm doing the math, the ballot math. And I'm going, you know, if that one doesn't pass, now this one down here, if I'm saying no because of ballot space sort of reasoning, I'm now wondering if it does make sense to table it. I don't want to create, like you said, another layer. But because we don't know how we're going to vote, and some of these are not going the way I necessarily projected, maybe it does make sense to table these. I don't know. I'm asking for your thoughts, because I think of the 4, 2 have not gone the way I thought they would. So I'm just wondering if that changes anybody's priority, kind of what you were saying, Jamie.
Chair, if I may interject, I apologize. There is a motion to reconsider that is available. Somebody on the prevailing side of a vote who wants to change their vote may move to reconsider any previous motion.
If we want to revote on anything we've already
Yes.
voted on, correct. Well, I
It has to be
guess,
somebody who voted on the prevailing side of the issue, but anybody can make a motion to reconsider any of these previous motions.
So
I
when
guess
we
I'm
get to
asking
the
if
end-
anybody feels the way, I think you sort of were alluding to that, no?
Yes and no. I don't believe we should change our process in the
Yeah, I don't
middle
either.
just because it's not going the way we envisioned,
No, I
because
don't
that's
either.
a bit not how I would do it, but I like the idea if we're all amenable to it, if after we've gotten through all these measures,
Yeah.
if we then make it a point to say, does anyone need to reconsider or want to
After they're all
reconsider?
voted?
Yeah, after it's all said and done
Agreed.
and we know how many are moving forward initially.
I do also
I
want to
like it.
point out that if the one measure does pass where this is 10 years, that also might weigh into.
It's true.
Because,
Oh, yeah.
because honestly, if it's every 10 years, then this is the only chance that they would, maybe to your point, Ethan, if it's 12, it's 12 at that point. So.
Absolutely. All
Thank you
right.
for that information about the reconsideration.
All right, so the ballot measure passed and will advance. Next, we have proposed Article 4, the council, Section 4.12, legislative procedure. The purpose of the change is to align the consequence for an improper voting abstention with the due process framework in Section 4.07 of this charter, replacing an automatic self-executing removal trigger with a notice and hearing procedure. Discussion.
I think it makes sense.
I was going to say, makes sense. Motion to advance?
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Belial,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Malarkey,
Yes.
Wester.
Yes.
All right, the motion advances. Next, we have proposed Article 4, the council, Section 4.11, special meetings. The purpose of the change is to add the city attorney to the list of officials who may request a special meeting. Discussion.
Just that, again, if I was going back to ballot fatigue, this would have been one of mine to consider, because I think that while it makes total sense for us to do this, in practice, it probably would happen anyway. However, again, I think it's better to, if it makes sense, to move forward with it. So, yeah, that's just.
If I may, I am very strongly opposed to this one. I included this in my email. I don't know that it was all kind of digested or read. We get many emails. This one, I am going to be voting against forwarding or advancing, because upon further review, one, I'm not sure, I believe it was in the May 7th minutes, that, I'll put former City Attorney Malarkey on the spot, and Assistant City Attorney Matt Roth, both were asked, has this ever been a problem? And neither one could recall an instance where the attorney wanted a meeting and it was denied or ignored or anything like that. So one, I don't know that we're solving a problem. My bigger concern might be not one other city charter in all of Franklin County gives this explicit authority to the city attorney. I don't want to be the first one to jump in the water on that one. I think that's intentional, and so I will not be voting in favor of this. I don't think there was any ill intent or anything malicious at all with the proposal, but I do not believe that we should move forward with this for those two reasons.
Was there past discussion in this group about wanting the three branches of government to be equally represented and prevail in this charter? I don't really know I can't remember where the general consensus was on that, if that was something that was a priority for us.
My issue, I don't know that that's specifically been addressed that way, but it's, the authority is to request a special meeting of council. The reason I don't think explicit authority should be given to the city attorney is not because I have any lack of respect for the knowledge or the skill set of the city attorney at all, but it's council's meeting. And collaboration is needed to call a meeting. And the biggest, and if it has not been a problem up to this point and no other city in Franklin County allows it, I think we would be remiss to ignore those two facts. I was surprised. I dug into this and I thought, this can't be right. And I looked and looked and, Control F and searched again, and no city charter that I found, I think that was 16 or 17 city charters, not one gave that explicit authority. So I think that's very relevant to this discussion. So it's not because I don't think the city attorneys should suggest one or approach council with a concern. Of course they would. And of course, I think that council should listen to the legal advice of the city attorney. So this is not to diminish that role of city attorney at all.
It's just unnecessary, at least in our discussions earlier, that it hasn't been done. Why do you need it?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that I kind of fall on this one. Is
There's
just
your
like,
ballot fatigue, if you want, in my
what's-
opinion.
What's the problem that we're trying to solve, or
I
like
don't
the
know.
documented problem?
I don't
And I'm not
know.
sure. I don't think that it hurts, but I think that our philosophy so far has been, if there's a documented problem that we're trying to solve, that probably has a higher weight in our decision-making. And, on this one, I'm just like, I don't know what the problem is, and it falls a little bit lower in priority to me.
So, Mr. Chair, before we proceed, I think this raises an issue or challenge with regards to our process, because the previous votes that we've taken have moved forward based upon one of the council or one of the commissioners making a motion to approve. I think it might be better, because I've already heard at least 4 people say that they were going to vote this down. I think the process should be, can we make a motion to vote on this proposed amendment as opposed to a motion to approve? And I wanted to ask the attorney if, I know we're midstream now, but for instance, if there's no one on the commission that would motion to approve this, then we aren't able to take a vote on it, for the record.
If I could just have just 1 second to check the rules here. I don't believe we have a rule that requires the vote be taken in the affirmative. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Correct. You can move to
And so you
To
can
deny it,
move to
yeah.
not advance,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Right.
I believe. I'm double checking.
And your vote is the opposite.
No, I'm sorry. All motions shall be made in the positive.
Okay.
But if nobody makes a motion to advance this, then we would just move on.
Die on the vine.
Good call. Die on the vine.
Okay. I was thinking,
Mr. Hill, well done.
we just said it nice and better.
So, hearing no further comments, do I hear a motion to advance? All right, we will move on. So we have, next up, proposed Article 5 Administrative Departments, Section 5.01, creation of departments, lots of other sections and departments. I will not read all those like I have everything else. Reasoning, the purpose of the change is to resolve the internal conflict between Mayor's 2021 Reorganization Authority and Section 5.02 in the enumerated department list in Sections 5.04 through 5.11 by removing the fixed enumeration from the charter and preserving the necessary language regarding the Director of Finance. Additionally, the purpose of the change is to remove the reference to civil service provisions, as this is an unclassified employee, and that was under the Division of Police. Discussion.
It's my understanding that we're voting on all 6, 7, or 8 of these. It's all,
Yep.
all of them in one. Okay, okay. I think we should do it.
Motion to advance?
I'll second.
Second. All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Delisle,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Maxwell. Yes. Malarkey,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes. All right, the motion advances, or the ballot measure advances. Next up, we have proposed Article 10, Department of Law, Section 10.01, City Attorney, and Section 10.03, General Powers and Duties. The purpose of the change is to provide internal consistency and provide for the scenario of a vacancy being created after petition deadlines for municipal election. The purpose of the change is to provide grammatical corrections, internal consistency, and to allow for reporting to be at the end of the year, to avoid an incoming city attorney having an obligation to report on the predecessor's term. Thoughts?
I want to start off with this one. This surprised me, but, so I looked through, do you have it? Are you there, Ray?
Oh, well,
In the right
I
section?
thought we skipped the division of police, that's why I was
No.
trying to figure out.
That was in the bottom part.
So division of police was part of that as well?
Yep.
Okay,
If
all
you
right.
classified.
Yeah, it doesn't say what's part of what, so.
Oh, you're talking about the department title?
No, the division of police. Because we talked about departments, and then this is division of police.
So this one, actually today, I looked through this even more carefully as I was writing my comments for this evening. I do not agree. So for the single subject rule, which I am not an authority on, I do not think, so I went through here, I believe there's 12 edits to this section. Number 9, which is on page 28 in our package with the red line through the bottom portion of that paragraph, that is a substantive removing of authority change. The rest of these, most of them, are literally changing from in to on or vice versa. This one, in my mind, absolutely should not be a part of this amendment. Most of these, as I read through it, are either clarifying, like, for instance, secretaries and clerks, striking that and using the more modern term of administrative professionals, changing from in to on. There's 3 or 4 occurrences of that. The extra verbiage of such courts where they are pending. That is all cleanup, grammatical type changes. The one crossing out, like I said, on page 28, that is literally removing some oversight of counsel to direct to defend someone to the city attorney. That is substantive. So I do not think that should be a part of this amendment. I also will say that I would not support this red line because I do not know what we're solving with that. So I don't know what the best process is forward, but I don't think it should be in, to me, those are 2 wildly different things and should not be in the same ballot or amendment.
Was this not, because it was in conflict and it was creating a conflict by having it in as to when, or it was ambiguous as to when and to whom she should defend, or
Yes.
he or she, excuse me. And I'm not saying this eloquently, so.
Sure. So we had a specific discussion about this at our last meeting, and there was a consensus of the group to leave that red line in. And so if there is a motion to amend this section or amend this proposal, I think that would be a valid motion to make and see if there's a second and a vote on that to remove that from the red line. I think the purpose of this is to provide internal consistency, and I do think that that red line is in line with that. I also think that changing the reporting from the first time of the year to the last time of the year is equally as substantive of a change. And so I don't think that breaking this into separate amendments would be a useful exercise. I also don't think that it violates the single subject amendment. It's all amendments to the Department of Law. And so I don't believe we would have any problem with the single subject issue. But if there is a motion to modify or amend this proposal, that can certainly be made.
I'm going to disagree with you. So most of these are grammatical. Some are time and dates and that of the sort. January 1, Saturday, then January 2, clarifying language. You're not changing the fact that the city attorney has to give a report. You're just simply, changing when the report is given. I would say that's more cleanup administrative. This is literally crossing out an authority or oversight that council has. I don't see any way that those things are similar, not even in the least. We also have never heard from council on this. I think we had 5 members of council. We had 5 members of council come to a meeting at least one time and give all sorts of changes and proposed amendments, and this was never mentioned. So my other concern is, again, not saying there's any ill intent here, but you proposed this red line, and this particular removal of this language essentially takes away some oversight, if you will, of your own department. We just haven't heard from council on it. So I will make a motion to remove that section on page 28, first paragraph, from this amendment altogether. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any additional questions before we vote on that motion?
So we're just voting on that motion.
It would be just the
Okay.
motion
Yeah.
next.
Not a question, just a comment to clarify is that, this was agreed upon by this committee's vote. So I just want to make it clear that city attorney wasn't pushing some sort of a specific red line through.
Oh,
but
yeah, I agree with you. Totally. There's no, my comments are meant to be completely objective. There's no concern of mine that there's any agenda or ill intent at all. But I think substantively and objectively, those are completely different changes.
It is a good distinction to make because there are so many cleanups versus
Yes,
what
exactly.
is actually removing authority.
And to your point, that's why it stuck out to me, because all of the other proposed edits in this section, no issue whatsoever. That one jumps out to me because now we're thinking about, okay, duty to defend. Does council have a say? Should they have a say? That's an authority or oversight of council working with the city attorney. Did we hear from council? So we're going down this this other path because it's not referring to a date, time, or cleaning up grammar. So I agree with you.
So question for process or procedure then. If the committee agrees that the red line should be removed, is it possible to propose a vote or advance this with the expectation or understanding that that red line would be removed?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, you would just, before you have the final vote, say the motion passes, so we would remove that strikeout. Just imagine the strikeout's not there, and that's what we're voting on. That would advance.
Which we had a second on that, correct?
We have had a second.
We did.
However, I wanted to make sure we had further
Oh, sure.
conversation before. And I was just curious because I'm not a lawyer, and this is honestly, punching above my pay grade here, trying to understand it. But the strikeout, as the city attorney shall by ordinance or resolution or ordinance of council be directed to defend, isn't that essentially assuming that the city attorney is not defending someone? So an officer of the city or an official of the city, so is that my interpretation? Essentially, the city attorney would, I thought it was my understanding that the city attorney's job is to defend.
Well, that's what she was saying
Right.
last meeting, was that the way it's written, she could only defend officials if council said, hey, defend this official. And
There's never been a council ordinance or resolution to even do that before. So I'm just like, it's not really a check and a balance unless the city attorney is refusing to do their elected job.
I think, just for a point of order, I guess, I think we need to vote on whether, so to me, it's 2 separate issues. Is it single subject in this amendment? We need to vote on that. If someone would like to propose that this change is a separate amendment, I think that that's possible, and we can discuss just this. But I guess my concern is I do not think this belongs in the same single subject
Maybe I
amendment.
blacked out. I thought the motion was to
remove
remove
it.
remove
Yes.
the red line.
Yes.
Okay. So
Because
that
I
would
don't
leave
think
it
it's-
as is. Okay, so that's,
If someone feels passionate that this should move forward, I just don't think that it should be in the same ballot.
That's, your
Yeah.
whole point is they shouldn't be together. So
For
if you re-
now,
if you-
yes,
For now.
yes.
If you believe
Yeah.
in that as being it, then it would have to be brought as a second amendment. We'd have to start, okay.
Well, to
I get
me-
what you're saying, but
is the motion to separate
Yes.
the motions, or is the motion to strike
Sorry.
that?
I think, Ray, I think that the motion that we had seconded by Mr. Malarski is that this would be stricken from this amendment. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying we can't debate this issue further if someone wants to present that. To me, that's, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then if, without that substantive change, I would have to debate whether I wanted to vote on it at all. And then I go back to the
think that's
ballot
fair.
fatigue, like.
I think that's fair.
Well, on page 26, where it changes the date, may seem pretty insignificant, but it's a major undertaking for the
For the out-
new incoming city attorney.
Yeah.
That really,
Yeah,
really,
no,
really
it
should
made
be
sense
changed.
to me.
Yeah.
I just don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that this is substantive and all the rest is administrative, and so I agree it should be stricken for that reason. Last time we met, said I thought it was a good idea. The more I thought about it and I started looking at how it correlates with the insurance companies, whether or not the insurance companies are going to defend us and they're going to pay for this, that has a big factor too. And so I think that this is much more involved
Yeah.
than just saying, hey.
How does this strikeout affect the insurance? That's what I want
Yeah,
to be able to
come on, Ray.
clarify.
Let me clarify. It does not affect the insurance coverage or policy in any way. Let me be very clear about that. The insurance company coverage is for the city, all employees, all officials in their official capacity. It covers the city as well. It is overlapping duties. It is not a delegation or, diminishing the city attorney's duties in any way by having an insurance policy.
It's not the fact that it conflicts with the insurance policy. It's the fact that the insurance company may say, we want to defend this. The city attorney says, no, I don't want you to defend this. And the city council says, yes, we want them to defend this. That's the issue when it comes up. It's not just, if
But
we
this-
say, no, we don't want you to defend it, then they don't defend us. And if they're in a disagreement with the city attorney and city council says, no, we need to get this insurance company in here, that prevents us from being able to do that.
This doesn't give the city attorney authority to say no, correct?
Correct.
This in fact holds her, he or she, more accountable for making sure that the city officials are represented, correct?
So should we take a vote on whether to remove it and then, because I don't disagree with anything anybody's saying. It's a good debate. But I don't think in a million years it belongs with changing on to in or changing the time at which a report is given. So I think, and we've already had a motion and a second, but to me, my concern is, I think most of us would agree that all of the other changes are probably cleanup. It sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement with that, for the most part. This, to me, is an outlier. To be fair, I wouldn't want this amendment thrown out just because of this, because I think the other things are cleanup. But to me, this is, there's a reason it's there. And again, I have other talking points to debate this if someone wants to propose it as another amendment. That's up, I guess, to the will of the commission. But I don't know how in the world this could be in the same amendment.
I think I need a point of clarity from the chair. I thought that when we were originally talking about how we were going to group these, the concept of adding the kind of more frivolous cleanup was, meant to go with something substantive so that you just kind of, like a catch-all. Because
Yes.
I wouldn't separate them, but.
I don't think that it's violating single subject.
I don't either.
I'm not, I just don't buy into that argument because, essentially this is cleanup since it is a power that has never even been exercised. And to exercise it, essentially the city attorney would be having to, neglect their duties and not do their job in the first place.
Let me ask this. Where else in the charter does it give council the authority? Where else is this mentioned? Is this the only place that this verbiage exists in the charter? Or is it
The
duplicative?
verbiage about council directing defense?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that's the only place it
Okay.
directs defense.
So what this does is because it's not addressed in any other place in the charter, it is literally crossing out the words, the attorney shall, by resolution or ordinance, of council be directed. Those are all actions and verbs. And again, if we had heard from council on this, or the administration, or there was a problem that has been identified by current or former city attorneys, I would feel differently about this. But this literally crosses out resolution, the word resolution, ordinance of council to direct to defend. This is not the same thing as a cleanup.
Essentially, we're going down a path because, and we talked about this earlier with the word shall. Technically, if my opinion's correct here, council should be, every time the city attorney is defending a city official or police officer, they shall be doing an ordinance or a resolution, and they're not doing it right now.
I don't know that that's the
So-
correct interpretation at all. I don't know.
I see what you're
I mean,
saying,
it's-
arguably, but.
But we talked about it earlier where the word shall has a certain connotation that no matter what, you have to do it.
So,
Council should be passing resolutions every time the city attorney is.
They don't have to. The city attorney has that ability to make a decision. This says that the city council can force the city attorney to make.
Chair,
That's
just,
not what it says.
That's not what it says.
no,
It
Chair,
says
if I could, just, again, from a procedural standpoint, there's been a motion and a second. And I think at this point, it would be prudent for us to vote on that motion, and we can move forward.
I want to clarify, are you calling the question then?
Calling the question.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
Lester,
To clarify, the motion, what we're voting on is removal of this from this amendment.
It's the
Correct.
removal of the red line.
Okay. Yes.
Malarski,
Yes.
Barnhart,
No.
Belisle,
No.
Hill,
No.
Maxwell,
No.
Reynolds.
Okay, the motion fails. Do we have any further discussion on this ballot measure?
Yeah.
Ms. Belisle?
I just want to say, I read contracts all day long, but this is not changing what is already shall. Shall is, the city attorney shall defend on behalf of other city officials and employees such suits arising out of or in the course of their employment, period. That's not taking away anything from city council if we remove that second part, because it's already mandating that the city attorney shall defend city officials. That part is just making it a bit ambiguous, because it's saying, all right, saying city attorney shall defend everybody, but then it's saying if council says to. So, and I think the point of the discussion was that it is in the job description to defend all city officials. And so it was never necessarily the place of council to mandate it. And it's also not giving the authority to the city attorney to decide. It's saying
So-
shall.
I think so in my mind, there is a reason it's in the charter. We didn't put it in the charter, but it's in the charter. We have not identified an issue that is happening or a problem that the current language is causing. By City Attorney Tamilarison's own words from the video of the last meeting, quote, "I'm not jumping up and down about this one, if you know what I mean." For lack of a better way to say it, what are we fixing here? So now if we're talking about, do we want to vote this entire amendment through or not, and we're discussing the validity of this one, again, this is something that by the city attorney's own words is not something that's crucial to her, for lack of a better way to say it. We're talking about things like, I've heard insurance, I've heard the city attorney has to do it anyway, we're not taking away anything from council, yet we've heard from no one other than the city attorney. So I'm a no on this one. I
But it's
think
possible we haven't heard from anyone because it doesn't change their authority at all.
we don't know that,
But,
do we?
well, that's, I mean, it says it.
I mean, we don't,
I mean, ultimately, we do have a city attorney to provide a legal interpretation to guide our work.
yeah, that's fine,
And
I'm just giving my opinion on
Our
it.
city attorney doesn't think that there is a legal issue here, so.
But in fairness, there are two attorneys on this panel that are in conflict with what they believe it says. So, I mean, it is fair to question it. However, my reading of this, in my professional opinion, is that it's not, I just want to make it clear that based on how it reads, with or without the red line, the city attorney doesn't have the authority to decide.
Correct.
Correct.
So I don't want the narrative to be, we're taking it away from council and putting it in city attorney's ballpark, because with or without that, the city attorney's hands are tied.
So
They can't say no.
the issue is this particular red line and this verbiage is attached to a paragraph specific, beginning with, mentions police officers twice. So this is, the attorney shall defend on behalf of all police officers, all suits. That is specific. That's not talking about the general duties of the city attorney. That's not referencing that they're the legal advisor of the city. That is referencing defending police officers, all suits brought against such police officers, and on and on and on. So we should pause there. This is specific to a situation or set of circumstances. If it was a general blanket statement about duty to defend or their role, I do not believe it would be a part of that paragraph. I really don't. I mean, again, I'm reading this, there's a reason it was put in the charter as part of that specific set of circumstances. This is not under general duties and responsibilities, the very first paragraph. You know, that's just not where it is. So I would argue that this is written regarding a specific set of circumstances, which I think in the last meeting, you referenced that officers does not speak. You said something along the lines of officers is referencing, officials of the city. And I may have misunderstood what you were saying, but this section is specifically addressing police officers, lawsuits, and defense thereof. This is specific. I'm not saying that, again, we have not been brought, a problem has not been submitted to us that, hey, this language is causing an issue. But this language, where it is in the charter, it matters, and it is not addressing general duties of the office, in my opinion. Just reading it. I just don't think so.
And I will agree that I think that it is meant to be separated based on how it reads
Yep.
between the police officers in all suits. I think that the second part was based more on this commission's interpretation, but I agree with your reading that they were meant to be separate. I think we were just making a decision based on how it was going to continue moving forward.
Yeah. So I don't think we can say, hey, this is changing the essential duties or responsibilities of the office. That's not where this lies in this section. It's a specific set of circumstances in my mind.
If I may, the first paragraph of that section states that the city attorney shall prosecute or defend all suits for and on behalf of the city. So that's what gives the city attorney the power to decide if they're going to prosecute those suits. The paragraph right above that says the city attorney shall prosecute or the paragraph above the one we're talking about, shall prosecute or defend for on behalf of the city all complaints, suits, and controversies in which the city is a party. And then later on it says, as directed by resolution or ordinance of council. So it's in that paragraph
So why
as
isn't
well.
that red line there?
So, yeah,
I can explain that. That exception is for any other controversy in which the city is not necessarily a party, that we may still participate if council so authorizes. That is, for example,
Suits.
there's a suit with Cincinnati that was pending before the Ohio Supreme Court, and I asked for authority to sign on to an amicus brief in support of Cincinnati. So I asked to participate in a lawsuit in which the city was not a party. That is not an obligation by the charter, but is permissible with council's approval. That is a very different circumstance than a lawsuit involving a city official or employee.
But that's not, the section is specific to police officers and that circumstances of a lawsuit involving a
No.
police officer.
Yeah, I think you're misreading this sentence. The police officers is a separate clause to what the ordinance of council is amending. The only thing that that red line affects is the clause that says that shall defend on behalf of other city officials and employees. That is the only clause that is affected by this red line.
I
And it's
understand.
internally inconsistent. It's inconsistent with the entire general duties section. And I think that's all I have to say
So,
about it.
so if it's an outlier, is what you're saying, that this
It's
is.
inconsistent.
Okay. So what I would ask is, well, what's different about defense of police officers? What other layers are there that don't exist with other employees or other circumstances?
There are different statutory and contract obligations that we have with police officers as a union
Correct.
entity
Right.
that requires defense of them.
Right.
Both statutorily as well as contract-based. Other city officials did not have that specific mandate, but they still fall within the purview of a city officer or a city official or city designee that is still mandated earlier on and throughout this entire section. So the specific call-out for police officers is certainly there for a reason. This call-out is certainly there for a reason. But this requirement that there be an ordinance by council is inconsistent with the rest of the document.
But I guess what I'm asking is, and you wouldn't know, but necessarily by firsthand experience, but why do you believe that was put there then?
I don't know. In
You're
the
saying
same
it's
way, I don't know
inconsistent.
why it is specifically called out that I could be a notary public. I don't know. There's a lot of things in the city attorney section that are specifically called out. I don't know why. But I can tell you that this language is inconsistent with the rest of the document and creates issues.
It's not inconsistent, it's just different.
It is inconsistent.
It's different. And they just added a different portion. That doesn't make it inconsistent. It doesn't change
The
anything else.
contradictory language is what makes it inconsistent.
Similar
Contradictory
language to this. I know that you mentioned Whitehall does copy this language in their charter. However, Reynoldsburg doesn't have it, City of Columbus didn't have it. Would there be any manager forms of government that have to allow their, appointed law director that ability? I mean,
The non-strong mayor elected city attorney forms of government, typically the appointing authority that appoints the law director is the one that directs if there's any specific suits that they should be defending, that they have to have authority to defend. But for all of the strong mayor forms of government where there is an elected city attorney, those are the ones, right? Whitehall, Reynoldsburg, Columbus, and us. And so Columbus explicitly allows it. Whitehall, it copies our current charter, and then Reynoldsburg is just silent on that, which by virtue of the duties would mean it includes everything. So to have that specific language requiring an ordinance is not common.
Why did you mention, I believe, sort of unsolicited at the last meeting, that you're not that concerned with this one?
I was trying to avoid this very discussion, so I wanted
Why?
to see if there was consensus among the commission to advance this. And so it was my understanding to leave it in and not to separate it and not to remove it was the consensus. I advanced this proposal because I believe it's necessary and does improve the charter. I do believe it addresses a specific problem, which is inconsistency internally. And I think it is worthy of consideration by this commission. I cannot vote on this commission. I'm not telling anybody how to vote, but I'm saying this is a proposal worth considering in totality, which is what the will of the commission was.
Did you say you didn't, what did you say? You wanted to avoid this discussion? Is that why you said?
I don't want this red line to be divisive of the other important things
I
within
agree, that's
this.
why I think it's a different.
But that has already been voted
Call the
on.
question,
So we
please.
have it all in one.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I agree, it's
I-
completely different.
I think we need to call the question and ask if there is a motion to advance this ballot measure as is.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to advance the ballot measure as it reads.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Belial.
Abstain. Can I do that?
You can do that.
Yes.
Or I need like 3 more minutes to make a decision before I read. So I don't know.
I continue?
Yeah.
Malarkey,
No.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
No.
Barnhart,
Yes. All right, so we have 4 yeses, 2 nos, 1 abstention. The motion to advance passes. We're going to move on to proposed Article 11, Planning Commission, Section 11.02, Planning Commission Organization. The purpose of the change is to remove the current fixed number absence threshold and allow Planning Commission the ability to determine what attendance requirements would be equitable. Discussion.
I had this one marked as one of my definite move forwards, for whatever that's worth.
Yep, I agree.
Any additional discussion? I would entertain a motion to advance this item.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Belisle,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Malarkey,
May I ask which one of these, there's no division here, which ones are which are all included in this one? 1102,
Page 31, are you on page 31?
yeah, is 1103 in this, or just 1102?
Just 1102.
Okay, so only 1102.
Whatever is bolded at the top is what's being bolded on.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes. All right, moving on, proposed Article 11, Planning Commission, Section 11.03, Planning Commission Powers and Duties. Proposed repeal of Article 12, Board of Zoning and Building Appeals. The purpose of the change is to move jurisdiction for these matters from Board of Zoning and Building Appeals to Planning Commission, and the purpose of the change is to repeal the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals and transfer its powers and duties for appeals of interpretations, decisions, and orders of city officials pertaining to zoning, building, and landscaping to the Planning Commission. Appeals of any Planning Commission matters would be available through the Franklin County Courts as provided by Ohio law. The change is intended to consolidate related functions within a single public body that regularly considers such matters and to reduce administrative costs. Discussion.
We need this if we're going to get rid of the BZBA, so I move that we advance.
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Malarkey,
Yes.
Belisle,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
All right, the item advances. All right, this one's near and dear to my heart because it just hurts me a little bit, but at the same time, I have feelings. Proposed Article 12, Charter Review Commission, Section, not 12, 22, I can't count Roman numerals tonight. Charter Review Commission. The purpose of the change is to amend the mandatory Charter Review Commission convening cycle by extending the interval from 5 years to 10 years in order to reduce the frequency of charter revisions and promote long-term stability in and preserving the integrity of the city's charter, the foundational governing document. Discussion.
Where are we at?
Page 37. Page 37.
37.
Did we talk about BZBA?
We,
Yeah.
So
done.
the BZBA was also with the Planning Commission.
Yes.
no,
Well,
it was two different votes and we did them.
yeah, because, so the BZBA amendment, that does also affect Planning Commission because it delegates those powers. However, it's
over.
one
One
thing.
But, okay.
And then we had
So
previously,
this is with the Planning Commission?
well, there was
previous
another separate Planning Commission,
Right.
which was for the attendance rules, which we also voted
Did we
on.
vote on all three, on BZBA?
The other two
We
were
voted on
combined
these.
into one.
Yeah.
Because one is eliminating the BZBA and then delegating
Delegating
powers
to the-
for the appeals to
Right.
Planning Commission.
Planning
So that's one ballot measure implementing one change.
I understand what they are, but I don't remember voting on two separate ones, that's all.
We didn't separate the votes, Mr. Malarkey. The vote for removing BZBA and then amending the Planning Commission section to increase their powers was one single vote.
So it's going to be one section?
Right.
one ballot measure.
That's what I just asked. Okay. And then I was told it wasn't. Okay, so they are one.
Yes.
1103 and BZBA are all one vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have something to say about this one. Near and dear, and I think it is a valuable process, and I just want to say that wholeheartedly. And I think in this particular group, we had very thoughtful, well-rounded people. However, I think this is a necessary change, or I should say a very much worthwhile change, as smart and critically thinking as any group can be. I think that just means consistent changes that can overlap and rethink, and I think that it does improve the integrity of our charter to space out these kind of great groups to 10
I'm
years.
just going to say, it may actually take 10 years to be able to get a group as good as this one together again, so
I
it's
didn't
just
want to
like,
put that on the record, but I can.
I'm okay doing that one.
It's not every day you get a thoughtful,
That's right.
intelligent group like this.
That's right. A little bit zesty sometimes too, if I might say.
I mean,
Little self-serving.
a little reminder out there to the voters.
Everybody pat yourselves on the back real quick.
I mean, I think with this one, there's, I obviously, I don't have any issue with it. I think it's a good thing. I think we have constantly gone back to a couple guiding principles. One is, what do other cities do? And so we're an outlier with this one. I think we meet a lot more often than some other cities. I think many of us saw charters where it referenced 10 years. So I have no issue with this.
And the power is still there if
Correct.
needed. So
Yep.
that is the most important thing for everyone
Absolutely.
listening.
Motion to advance?
I'll make a motion to advance.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Malarski,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Belisle,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
All right. We have one last one. This is proposed Article 23.
Before we get into this, can we have a point of order? Can we have Jeremy read back my motion on 1103? Because I made the motion, and I believe my motion was just to pass 1103, not the BZBA. And I just want to make sure that we have voted on that. I think everyone thought that we were voting on one, but I don't believe what my motion said. Could you read back my motion, please?
I didn't record the motion.
Have a motion.
I notated it was for the BZBA.
Yeah, so we're motioning to advance the ballot measure.
We can go back to the video record.
Right. Because my specific words were, we need to have this one in order to get rid of the BZBA. So my motion was only to do 11.03.
Oh.
That's why I'm confused. That's why,
So
because
do we
it
need
was
to
my
redo the
motion, and
motion?
I wasn't.
Rotation that we were voting on the whole thing. So do we need to re-vote?
Right, but
A procedure I'm not great at, so I could use some
I think if
assistance.
there was some ambiguity about what we were voting on, in an abundance of caution,
And I will make a motion to advance the entire ballot measure.
from 1103 plus
That
BZBA.
is- Yep. So that is for both planning commission
And
and,
that motion.
all right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jeremy.
Belisle,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Malarski.
Yes.
There we go.
All right. Moving back to our final item, we have proposed Article 22, General Provisions, Section 23, or, okay, I think that's at 23, Section 23.07, Non-Discrimination Clause. The purpose of the change is to align the charter's non-discrimination enumeration with the city's existing codified ordinances, updating protected categories to reflect current federal, state, and local legal standards, and to consolidate the two prohibitions into one paragraph. Discussion.
Not necessarily a discussion. I would like to just compliment the city attorney's rewriting of what was discussed, and certainly the commission's discussion that night. I think we were able to come to a point of understanding and clarity with the meaning behind what we're doing with this particular amendment. So I appreciate that.
you're welcome, thank you.
Yeah, you guys had a pretty robust discussion on this one, but I listened pretty closely. So I have no, as proposed, I think it's kind of updated, modernized, and more inclusive. So, I'm fine with advancing this one as is, and I think it's an improvement overall.
My only question is, if this commission isn't going to meet for 10 years, what other thing are we going to have to include in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it might be? Who's going to include that at that point in time? Whereas, do we stay with the codes? I mean, again, I'm not,
You're saying if the codes were to change in that time?
yeah? Only codes, just in things. I mean, look at this list. Does this look like anything of 25 years ago? Not even close.
In fairness, the codes can, add and still be in compliance with this. This at least will cover anything, any status protected by federal, state, or local law. To your point, though, if something emerges that societally becomes very relevant to categorize, I guess the next charter review will just have to take that on and decide. I still think it's worthwhile to advance it as written, given the.
Just a question, though. Are we not in compliance with the codes and so forth in our charter at this point, then? By not stating each thing? I'm just asking, because that's a way to always be
We
in
do not
compliance.
have a catch-all category
Okay.
that specifically says any other status protected by applicable laws. I think that the old language was outdated and does not include as much definition.
Don't disagree with that. Yeah.
Right, so I think this language is more reflective of current practices, current code, and current intent, and is more inclusive to avoid future additions of each individual category by having the catch-all phrase. So I think this would be appropriate and yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on this item?
Yes. We're adding 6 more considerations in which are going to open us up to being sued. Please keep in mind, compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Our EEO is exactly like the federal and the state EEO, and it has all these in it. That has to do with you can't be discriminated against for jobs, all right? This has 2 parts to it. This also says you cannot discriminate on public resources. Public resources is defined as any property, asset, or service owned or controlled by the state or local government. This building, the restrooms in this building. If we deny someone the ability to go into the restroom because of a gender identity issue, we're going to get sued because we're putting this in our Constitution. That's separate from the employment issue. This will get us sued. I mean, we're putting in familial status. Okay, what's familial status? I don't know. But if someone doesn't get hired, they're saying, well, I didn't get hired because of my familial status, we're going to get sued. They put in social status. Putting it in the Constitution, our charter, is so much more significant than having a very good, we have a great EEO. I don't disagree with any of it. I don't disagree with any of these things. Please note, I'm just saying we're going to find that we're going to get sued. What if this fails? If this fails, there's going to be someone, I guarantee you, who's going to come back and say, hey, you need to change your EEO because the will of the people said, we don't want this language. And so we already have what we have here. We already have all this. We don't need to add it to our Constitution to give a more, we should keep our Constitution like the state and federal Constitution, which it is. We should keep our EEO like the state and federal EEO, which it is. So we are in compliance in those areas. Make sure we're comparing apples to apples. So the federal Constitution does not have this in it. The state Constitution does not have this in it. And we want to change our Constitution to put this in it, and we're just opening a Pandora box. And to Mr. Maxwell's point, where does it start? New York just introduced a bill to change mother in all their statutes to gestating partner. So gestating parent, I'm sorry. I was thinking that because my friend's daughter, she's very 9 months pregnant and walks in, and the question asked her was, who's the expecting parent? You know, the language changes like this all the time. And I think that we're right in line with both constitutions, and we should stay that way. I don't think we should open up this Pandora's box. Plus, we already have it. We have it in our EEO. We have what the people want.
Can't we get sued if we violate our EEO also? Like, you're saying we'll get sued if we change this? Doesn't this reflect what we have in code, or what was the change?
No, because there's two differences. EEO only applies to employment. This applies to public resources as well, which is everything the city owns. And so this is an extra step. Like I said, bathrooms are going to be a great example. The schools are, I think, it doesn't really say, I couldn't find, is it a government, they are a governmental entity? Does that mean that their locker rooms are now covered by this? That's the part that really expands it
If I
so
may.
much more than no, please let me finish. You don't get to interrupt. You're only here when we ask you for opinion.
Well, I think
Okay.
there was a direct question to me that you answered.
There
but
wasn't.
Go ahead.
There was no question pending when I started talking. So that's I think, let me compose myself, and I got so rudely interrupted, and let me decide if this is
Point
all
of
I had to
order.
We
say.
need to maintain
Yeah.
decorum and respect for folks. The city attorney is an ex officio member of our commission, and she does have the ability to respond to questions. So
I
I would
agree.
just ask that this commission acts with respect with all members of the commission.
Yeah, oh, I agree. I expect that she should act with respect to us as well.
I will leave that there.
All right.
So my question was directed to the city attorney to clarify the language change that we had made. This is the language where?
In our housing code and criminal code, these enumerated sections are protected categories that have already been codified in our ordinances. It is consistent with, it does not match exactly with the EEO statement. The only changes between the EEO statement and this language, if there are specific explanations, things in parentheses, those kinds of things. But the general categories are consistent. Yeah,
Thank you.
yep.
To summarize, I just want to make sure I understand your concern, right? You feel that the addition of some of these terms basically exposes us to more legal risk or liability?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood you.
City attorney does that. Will this do that?
I don't believe so. I think the example of restrooms, the only way that a person would have standing is to say that we did not allow them to use our restrooms based on any of these classes. So if we told a person, based on how they were dressed or what their gender identity was, that they were not allowed to use our city bathrooms, then yes, we would be sued, and I believe rightfully so. The recognition of gender identity or any of these protected categories means that we cannot prohibit, withhold, or limit resources based on these categories to any person based on these categories. So I think this is in line with current practice, current law, current EEO, current federal and state guidelines, and nothing here would provide additional standing for anybody to sue unless somebody was in fact discriminated against.
And the strategic plan?
If I could, I just want to clarify and kind of reset the table for a second. You know, we've gotten pretty passionate this evening, and I see this as generally speaking, as a good thing. And we've done a great job of differing in opinions and respecting each other throughout this process. So we're here at the end of it, and I think we all have some strong opinions on certain amendments. And I just want to say that I think it's because we care. And me personally, I think we've done a great job being process focused. I think it's okay. I don't want to squash the conversation. You guys had a very robust conversation on Thursday about this, and so I just wanted to clarify Mr. Malarkey's point. I think I did, but I don't think anybody's disagreement of opinion is directed at anybody in particular. So I just want to say I want people to respond and discuss as they as they'd like to. Like I said, I just wanted to clarify your stance on this. My opinion on this has not changed. So, if anybody has anything else to add on that, I welcome it.
Yeah,
Ready to make a motion?
All right. I will entertain a motion to advance the proposed ballot measure.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to advance this proposal as it is listed.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Hill,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Belisle,
yes.
Maxwell,
No.
Malarski.
No.
All right, the measure advances. So if my count is correct, we had 2 that failed. So we are going to be advancing 10 measures to the ballot.
Can you review the 2 that failed?
The strategic plan failed, and then I guess it didn't fail. It was the city attorney special meeting did not
We didn't
advance.
vote on that one.
Correct. Everything else has advanced. So we did say that we would give time if there were any reconsiderations or anything like that. And I think this is probably the appropriate time if anyone has anything they would like to reconsider.
I'm sorry, maybe, I don't, the amendment number 4, I'm sorry, I grouped these, the ward boundary amendment, that did pass, is that correct? Okay,
4-3.
okay.
Can I ask a point of clarification, Chair? So are we going to be, because we tabled it, we have to vote on this one to be a part of the package tonight, right?
What's that? Which one?
The special meetings? No.
Yep,
Okay,
there was no motion or second, so it
Got it.
just kind of died on the vine.
got it.
Yep, you got it. So,
making sure.
all right.
I'm comfortable with 10 going to the polls.
10 is the high end of what I was even kind of comfortable with, but we are a commission of 7, and we did make our decisions, and I am comfortable in that.
And I think Ms. Wester really likes the clean numbers, and it's 10 years,
Yes.
10 things.
I just come off as someone that likes round numbers. I can get on board with that, it's good with me.
I want to drop the
Consistency.
numbers to see what happens.
We are gonna make people,
Reconsider.
we are gonna make people work, you know? You gotta vote,
No one
you gotta do your
no,
homework.
We could all meet up at the polls and make sure everybody's super educated.
That's right.
But without, stand on the other side of the street or whatever.
Well, I, for one, am for consistency sometimes.
Well, I agree, it's kind of a lot. Maybe we should reconsider one like that conflicts one,
Which one was that?
the one where we clarified that the conflicts that between each of the 3. Just that is merely as an attempt to try to, I voted for it, but as an attempt to try to pare it down a little bit.
The elected qualifications, is that what you're talking about?
Which one was that?
Section 302, 403, and 1002.
Yes.
That would be amendment number 3, not that we're, regarding the qualifications that we just,
So at the
Pared it
beginning
down.
on page 6.
6, thank you.
So just for purposes of getting a discussion going, I'll move that we reconsider that amendment.
Do we have a second?
Hold on, can I look at it?
Got it, wait a minute.
Is that page 6? Okay, I looked.
I'll just say that this is not a second, but that if I were to reconsider any of them, it would be this one.
I'll second it.
All right. Discussion on the reconsideration of the ballot measure Thoughts?
Just that it sounds like the only reason we're reconsidering this is because of ballot fatigue. So the question comes down to how much of that is a consideration.
Yeah, I don't, I don't think this is a hill to die on necessarily. The reason I chose to advance this is anytime the charter has an opportunity to absolve partisanship in our government, I think it should, when appropriate. And from day one, what I didn't like about those three sections in the qualifications is that city attorney section, Department of Law, that speaks about being appointed to a political party or entity. I have the existing charter somewhere, but that to me, that is why I feel okay with advancing it. I also understand that, I'm not aware of any huge problem that it's caused, but I'll just tell you, anytime there's any type of, I think the word political exists twice in that section. I don't think that's consistent with how our charter reads, and I don't like that. Freedom there in that section. I think that is not a net gain for our city. I don't disagree that this is a lot of amendments, but that to me is what sets this one apart.
But just to clarify, and I do not know the answer to this before I ask it, so Mr. Weaver had given us that opinion, the AG opinion on this, I believe, that said what positions everyone could hold in what other position. Is that correct?
There is ample case law on point in conflict positions, and so like every specific relationship, let me not say every, a lot of specific relationships have been analyzed by the Attorney General to say what is or is not in conflict. I believe he gave us one that discussed a particular relationship, but that's not necessarily like, that's the case that defines what a conflict is necessarily.
I thought I saw a chart.
So I think, real quickly, I don't think we've referenced what, I'll get back to your point. I know this wasn't what you were saying. I believe Councilwoman Bowers and Councilman Weaver both actually were in favor of streamlining qualifications, including my favorite, residency. So they were in favor of streamlining. I guess what I'm talking about specifically, I don't believe Mr. Weaver addressed, but I could be wrong on that. My issue was that city attorney carve-out really got specific on appointments to political parties.
Yeah,
And,
so-
yeah.
I think this will be helpful if I finish my point, is that all this does is say that we can't do anything that's in conflict with current law. And so I would have to review what our ethics laws say about what positions can be held. It doesn't necessarily say that they can't do that. Correct? Do you know what?
Well,
You're a November, not a-
So
So what I'm
serving
saying,
as a delegate to a political party or to a political convention is not in conflict with any office.
correct, so,
But it doesn't have a specific authority to do so like it does in the charter. It's not in conflict. I'm trying to
Right.
find Mr. Weaver's notes.
so what I'm saying is, all I was saying to your point, Ms. Wester, is what you love about it, I don't know that it necessarily protects against.
prohibits it?
Right,
Well, I guess that's a,
which I still like it, so I was
yeah,
still
I
moving
mean,
forward, but.
yeah, I think that's a whole another discussion. To me, again, just streamlining the sections of what could be in conflict after elected. I think streamlining is a net gain, but specifically because that section, section 1002, is much more specific and goes on some tangents there. So I see what you're saying, though, that it wouldn't
I
necessarily
just wanted to make
prohibit
sure
it.
if that
Yeah.
was like your golden, like, this
Yeah.
is why, I wasn't sure that the language we had, like, prevented people from being in that position, but to
Yeah.
her point, it's not, like,
And I honestly just wonder, the city attorney position that we kind of had the discussion, it was originally an appointed position, and then it became an elected position in like the 1980s. I mean, this language just may be a product of the time and the political circumstances, and there might be some historical context we don't necessarily understand from that time, but at the end of the day, from what we're doing, streamlining it and making sure that the three offices a line generally makes a fair amount of sense, and you're kind of kicking it back to the existing laws and, legal opinions and things like that to be able to dictate rather than being overly prescriptive, which is something that we've also said that we don't like charter language that is overly prescriptive. So I honestly think it makes sense, and
I'm going to also add is removing one really removing all the voter fatigue?
Probably not.
I think if we were getting to 2 or 3 that we really didn't know about, then I would
and and this
agree.
was one that, it was a 7-0 vote to advance
Right,
it.
yeah.
So I think if we were going to reconsider, we should look at some of the other ones that maybe didn't
Yeah.
have a full unanimous support, but I'm not open to doing that.
Yeah, same.
I
Do we
think we're in
want-
a good position.
Yeah, unless we want to take a vote to start whittling this
Because
down.
we did have a motion, so I think,
Remind us what the motion was.
yeah, that's the problem.
What was the motion?
It was raised.
To reconsider.
Oh, to reconsider any of
Yeah, I
them?
think we did, you second?
Seconded, but
Okay.
I'm going to, can I, I don't think it's necessary.
You
We
can,
have the discussions.
you can rescind your second.
I'm going to rescind.
Okay.
Okay, then
Any additional,
rescind what?
Oh,
There's no second
no
at the table.
second, I'm sorry.
To reconsider, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No second to your motion.
and then,
We got what we wanted, we got a discussion.
yeah.
Really, it's what you want.
I see what you did there, Dick.
So, all right, and if there are no other reconsiderations, we can move on with our agenda, which is short and sweet. And I hope that, talking about sweet, hopefully, Mr. Molarski, are you going to be getting wits this evening?
Possibly.
Okay. I might actually have to follow your example on that one, so. But, all right, so moving on, correspondence and actions. Have commissioners had any correspondence or communications they would like to bring to the attention of the full commission? Mr. Clerk, have there been any items of correspondence to bring before the commission?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll move to our final poll members for comment. We'll go around the dais. If you've got something to say, say it. Otherwise, I guess maybe we'll meet again in December or something like that. So, Ms. Reynolds?
Thank you all. This was a pleasure and a really good opportunity. So I thank you all for your kindness and understanding for those of us who are not the lawyers and the local champions that you are, but are trying to do more. So I applaud you guys in your efforts and thank you really much for, this is a good experience.
Mr. Maxwell?
I want to thank everybody. It's a great learning experience. I've never done it. As I've said, I've been on lots of boards and lots of things, but not this kind. So it's been very educational for me. So let's put it that way. And a great group to work with. Thank you.
Ms. Belisle?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the city council for allowing me to participate on this group for my own personal connection to Gahanna that I'm trying to cultivate for myself. And I'd also like to thank the people. I mean, this has been said several times, I think, in the last few weeks, but this commission takes this very seriously and has a unique ability to change their mind when new information is presented to them, and having that flexibility to think is so valuable. And I really am grateful to the people sitting up here with me that this has been a very rewarding experience. And I truly think, regardless of how this turns out with the voters are lucky to have had a commission that was thoughtful and argued through certain points and thought it all through. And so I'm very confident in our decisions, and just thank you. And thank you to City Attorney ex officio. But thank you for all your time and your work behind the scenes, too.
All right, Mr. Molarski?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone on this commission. I think that we had a lot of varied opinions, and I think everyone stated their opinion. They listened, and everyone thoughtfully thought about each one of these things and really put a lot of effort in it, except for Kara Wester sometimes. So she's, yeah. But no, it's really been a pleasure working with you guys, because I think everyone took this extremely seriously and did the best they could and tried their hardest. So. And changed their schedules just to come.
got some prepared remarks. They're not long, don't worry. I have really thoroughly enjoyed this commission's work and really have enjoyed getting to know you guys as fellow commissioners. All of us stepped up and contributed to this process. We are a pretty diverse group with backgrounds and experiences all over the board. I believe to the best of our ability, we weighed the pros and the cons of each proposed amendment and tried to objectively arrive at the best solution for our residents. I want to stress that I feel the way we have worked together has actually been encouraging and uplifting in a time where there is just unbridled divisiveness and vitriolic partisanship in every level of government. I think it's remarkable that a group of 7, appointed by 2 different appointing authorities, collaboratively work together for the betterment of our community. We didn't always agree, and we've gotten heated and discussed back and forth, but I think we have respected each other throughout the process. My hope is that we have elevated the high calling and duty of civic responsibility and public service. I do want to say I encourage all of you to stay involved in our city's path forward. As we have heard throughout this entire process, we have a lot ahead for our mid-sized suburb of roughly 35,000 residents. Every time I meet new people in our community, I am reassured that the best part of Gahanna, the most important part of Gahanna, are the people that call Gahanna home. So I want to thank you to each one of you for taking the time away from your families, your careers, your kids, other activities to invest in what comes next for Gahanna.
You're here.
Mr. Hill?
I just want to start by just expressing what a blessing it's been and an honor to be able to be a part of this commission, to be selected to be a part of it, and then to actually participate on the commission. I was a part of the Gahanna Citizens Academy, and it inspired me to want to be more involved and to do something not for myself, but for the citizens of Gahanna. And I hope that my presence here, my words and my actions have been representative of that. When I use the word I am not speaking of myself. I am specifically thinking of the people of the city of Gahanna. And I hope that when we leave this position, I'll call it that for now, that as Ms. Wester said, that it will be a step towards doing something more for the city, because there's a lot that can be done, and we have a lot of opportunities to participate and to make Gahanna even better for everyone. And so again, I want to thank the chair and the vice chair and my fellow commissioners. I certainly want to thank our city attorney and our clerk. You've had a lot to deal with. It's been thrown at you, and we appreciate you. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the mayor and city council, not just for their leadership, but for their willingness to engage and to involve the citizens in this very important, very serious work. So again, I'm thankful for the opportunity and feel very blessed to have been able to participate.
Thank you. You know what? It's kind of hard because this has been a fun experience, and I am deeply appreciative of everybody up on this dais. I'm very proud of the work that we have done. I'm honestly humbled and honored that you all stuck with me as your chair to be able to help lead this work. It's honestly been an honor, and you know, the fact that I also often, y'all know that I work in local government, so most of the time I sit on the other side. I'm helping inform elected officials and things like that, and this is honestly the first time I've sat up here and done this type of work, and I just appreciate that y'all put your trust in me to be able to help guide the process, and I think that we all have come to something to be very proud of. And I also just want to thank everybody who came and spoke to our commission. Not only did we have council members come, members of the administration, the mayor, we've had some members of the public, we had board and commissioners. So many people came in and they shared their suggestions on how to be able to help make our governing document better. I don't know, it's hard to see people care sometimes, and I think that we have seen time and time again, every single meeting, people who care, and they care about their community, and they care about making it better. So I just want to thank everybody who came and was a part of this process. Also do want to make a special shout out to the mayor and her team, because every single meeting that we've had, there's been either the mayor herself or a member of her team here sitting in the audience, listening to us, ask questions, sometimes get a little zesty with each other. You've gone through it all, so that speaks, it speaks very loudly. So thank you for being in attendance. Thank you, city attorney, for your guidance, your advice. You've really done an excellent job helping us, and thank you. I really do appreciate it. But more than anyone, I have to thank Jeremy.
Yeah.
He has kept us on track. He has kept us in compliance. He has sat through every single meeting, other than the one. Did Sophia do one or two?
She did one.
One, okay. I also have to thank Sophia for also coming in and helping us out, so thank you to her as well. But Jeremy, thank you so much. We are lucky to have public servants like you working for our community and just doing so much. I can't say enough good things about you, sir, so thank you so much. So, but, all right, I've done enough blathering, but thank you, everyone. This has been a rewarding experience, so. There's nothing else to say. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
6 of them, 6 motions.
So
All
moved.
right, 6 motions. Do I have 6 seconds?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned at 8:36 PM.